Did you know that a lot of people, including myself just several years ago, think that in order to get free flights using Avios, you need to be like an actual frequent flyer? Because otherwise, how are you ever going to accumulate enough Avios in the first place to exchange them for a free flight or anything else valuable? That kind of thinking means that they may be missing out on so much savings and opportunities that I thought that we have to destroy this misconception. And that is why I'm gonna share with you today my 4 favorite ways that you can use to earn yourself like a boatload of Avios without having to set foot on a British Airways airplane in the process, or any airplane for that matter. I'm also gonna share a 5th bonus way that you can use to earn a small stash of Avios right after watching this video by spending like 10 to 20 minutes of your time. And by the way, when it comes to redeeming your Avios, you can use them to get almost free or heavily discounted flights on over 15 airlines across the world, including British Airways. So what are my favorite ways to earn Avios without flying? The most obvious one, and the one we're going to start with, is by using a credit card that gives you rewards in exchange for spending money on it. For example, there is a British Airways American Express card, which is completely free, and it gives you 1 Avios per pound you spend on any purchases. Let's say that you were to take out that card, hold it for a year, and every month you would spend roughly £1,000 on it, on putting as much of your spending as possible on that card. What would you have after 12 months? Well, 3 things really. Number 1, you would have earned 12,000 Avios because you've been getting 1 Avios per pound spent, and you spent a total of £12,000 over the year. Secondly, the card gives you a welcome bonus if you spend £1,000 on it within the first 3 months, and as per the parameters of our example, you would have hit that target very easily. Normally, the welcome bonus is 5,000 Avios, but currently, BA and Amex are running a very generous promotion, and as part of it, the welcome bonus on this free card has been increased to 12,000 Avios. By the way, if you want to take advantage of that promotion, it runs until October 10th, so do keep that in mind. But for the sake of our example, this means you would have earned a total of 24,000 Avios over the course of the year. And do note that you would have done it without having to alter your spending habits or having to spend any extra money chasing those points. I think that already is pretty awesome. But even that is not all, because thirdly, you would get something that is known as a companion voucher once you have spent £12,000 on the card within 1 year. Companion voucher basically gives you a 50% discount on the number of Avios that you have to pay for any rewards flight, or if you're not traveling alone, you can get a second or a companion ticket, but only pay the Avios required for 1 ticket. So either way, the companion voucher kind of gives you a 50% reduction on the number of Avios you would have had to spend otherwise. There is one big caveat here, and that is the voucher that comes with the free version of the Amex BA card is limited to just economy class. You cannot use the voucher to get a 50% reduction on the number of Avios that you need for a business or first class or even premium economy flight. The credit card does have a premium equivalent that gives you a voucher without any cabin restrictions, usable in business class or first class if you want, and I'm going to touch on that just in a minute. But in the meantime, where can 24,000 Avios and an economy class companion voucher actually get you? Well, first of all, that is enough to book a return trip for 2 people on any British Airways short-haul flight. For example, a return economy flight class to Turkey for up to 2 people would set you back a little bit over 9,000 Avios and £35 in taxes per person, assuming that you also apply your companion voucher. You can also redeem your Avios with many of BA's partner airlines, but with most of them, unfortunately, you cannot use the companion voucher. For instance, you could fly with American Airlines from New York to San Francisco, one way in economy, and that would cost you 13,000 Avios and just £4.50 in taxes. I think that's actually a pretty amazing deal. There are so many more ways to use your Avios, but here I just wanted to give you a couple of quick examples to give you an idea of what you can do. And actually, if you're more interested in long-haul flights in premium cabins, such as business class or first class, as I mentioned, the BA Amex card has a premium equivalent called BA Premium Plus that first of all gives you a companion voucher without any cabin restrictions, so you can use it for first class or business class. And also, thanks to the ongoing promotion, it offers a sign-up bonus of 60,000 Avios, which is, well, it's extremely generous, just believe me. And I'm actually going to post a whole separate video looking at that promotion in detail, so do stay tuned for that. Before we move on to the next and my favorite way to earn Avios without flying, please give this video a thumbs up if you have enjoyed it so far. It helps the channel a lot, and it also shows me that you guys find this content relevant. But anyway, my favorite way to earn Avios without flying is by using British Airways eStore. So if you go to shopping.ba.com, you're going to find a website that lets you earn a substantial amount of Avios for shopping with hundreds of retailers in the UK and across the world. As you can see, there are lots of big names on this list here. There is booking.com, which will give you 6 Avios per every pound you spend. There are a couple of food delivery options. There is John Lewis. There are train tickets. I personally bagged a lot of Avios with B&Q when I was doing renovations in my apartment. Basically, I recommend that you just go through this list, which is pretty huge, and I'm sure everyone will be able to find something that aligns with their spending habits very well. Let me know in the comments if you knew of or used the eStore before watching this video, because surprisingly, many people actually don't know about it. But this is honestly such a great way to earn Avios at a much faster rate than you otherwise would have if you were just using an Avios earning credit card. So there are 2 ways to use the eStore. The first one is if you want to shop online with one of the retailers that are listed here. So you will be on this Collect Online tab here, and once you choose the retailer you want to go with, I'll just pick booking.com. You'll be taken to a page where you can see the terms and conditions for the offer, and then there will be this Shop Now button on the left. It is very important that you use this button to go to the partner's website as opposed to just going to booking.com directly yourself, because if you do that, the eStore will not be able to track your transaction and award you any Avios. So when you click on Shop Now, if you haven't logged into the eStore earlier, you'll be prompted to do so. And after that, you'll see a screen saying that your transaction has been tracked successfully. And then you'll be redirected to booking.com, where you can proceed to reserve your accommodation just as usual. Once you're done with the reservation, apart from the confirmation email from booking.com, you'll receive another email from the British Airways eStore telling you that a certain number of Avios are now pending to be awarded to you, and you'll receive them once your stay is completed. Even though the terms and conditions for booking.com say that it may take like 90 days to get your Avios, from experience, and I've used this like a bunch of times, the Avios do arrive significantly quicker. So the other way to get Avios through the eStore is by shopping offline, or if you're going to the store in person. On the Collect in Store tab, you'll be able to see the list of retailers that allow you to collect additional Avios while shopping with them offline. Again, let's choose some retailer. I'm gonna go with Honest Burgers here. And then on this page, you're gonna see a button that says Register Card. If you click on it, you'll be taken to a page where you can register your debit or credit card, doesn't really matter, with the eStore. And once you've done so, whenever you physically go to one of the shops that are listed under Collect in Store tab, you'll get the extra Avios as long as you pay with the card that you just registered. All right, moving on to the way number 3, and this one is earning Avios for your stays with Airbnb. Do note that this is not part of the eStore because Airbnb is not listed on eStore, but you can still earn 3 Avios per pound spent whenever you reserve accommodation on Airbnb. It is not as generous as the 6 Avios per pound that booking.com gives you, but in my opinion still extremely useful if you prefer staying at apartments or houses during your trips as opposed to hotels in which booking.com specializes. So what do you actually need to do to get advantage of this offer? If you just search for Earn Avios with Airbnb on Google, the top result should be this page on BA website, and I'll also leave a direct link to it in the video description. But on the page, if you click on the book accommodation, you'll be prompted to enter your British Airways Executive Club number and then taken to Airbnb, where you can go ahead with your booking just as usual. And the next and fourth way we're going to cover is earning Avios for your Uber rides. This one is relatively new. It was introduced somewhere in the second half of last year, and since then I really enjoyed getting extra Avios every time I ride with Uber, and the offer here is 1 extra Avios per pound spent. And let me reiterate that like all these things that we're discussing, like the eStore, the Airbnb stuff, the Uber stuff, it is all giving you the Avios on top or in addition to whatever Avios you're already earning with your credit card or like other rewards that you're earning with your credit card. So for instance, if I was riding with Uber using the British Airways American Express card, I would be actually getting 2 Avios per pound spent, 1 from the card and 1 from this collaboration between BA and Uber. So what do you need to do to take advantage of it? It's pretty simple. You just open your Uber app, go to the Account tab, then click on Settings. And in Settings menu, you need to scroll all the way down to British Airways Executive Club. Here you can log in with your account. And once you've done so, your BA account and your Uber account will be linked. And congratulations, it means you'll be earning 1 Avios per pound you spend on Uber rides every time from now on. And finally, as promised, the last and bonus way to earn Avios that will allow you to get some Avios, specifically 600 Avios, right after watching this video. To do this, you need to use a service called Avios for Thoughts. It is a website that allows you to take surveys and rewards you with Avios in exchange for that. Normally, I wouldn't really bother with this because in most cases, the time it takes you to go through the survey it is kind of hard to justify spending all that time to just earn like a tiny little amount of Avios that they might pay you. But there is one exception. If you are new to this website, they're offering, first of all, 100 Avios for going through their welcome tutorial or basically signing up. And secondly, they're going to give you 500 Avios for the first survey that you take, which means you can bag a total of 600 Avios by spending like 10 to 20 minutes of your time. And the best part is that this service normally credits your Avios to your BA account within seconds or minutes of you taking the corresponding action. So for example, when I signed up for this website and took my first survey, I saw the 500 Avios drop into my BA account like minutes later. And those were the 5 of my favorite ways to earn Avios without actually flying. The list is obviously not exhaustive and not meant to be exhaustive. Those were just my favorite ways that work best for me. Do let me know in the comments what works best for you in terms of earning Avios, regardless of whether or not I covered it in this video today. And do stay tuned for the video next week where we will be looking at the promotion between NBA and Amex, which can allow you to earn a 60,000 Avios welcome bonus. In the meantime, if you want to learn a little bit more about earning Avios using a credit card, you can check out this video where I review and compare side by side the two premium Avios earning credit cards available in the UK. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this today, and I hope you decide to join me for future videos as well.